Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Boxing. I'm Leti.
I'm LB.
And let's get into one of the fights for Undisputed. We had Alycia Baumgardner out of Michigan,
AKA the Bomb,
versus Elhem Mekhaled out of France, Paris.
Yeah.
So, what did you give us a little background in the story?
This is for Undisputed. Alycia Baumgardner is now the Undisputed champion. So, we're gonna clap the hands for it.
Yeah.
So, originally this fight was supposed to be between her and Choi. But Choi, like many other fights, like many other champions, when they wanted to fight her, the fight never materialized. So what the sanctioning body did is they did strip her and they made this for a vacant for that last piece to the puzzle. And so the opponent was Mekhaled. And that we were familiar with her because we've seen her fight on another card. So I knew that I was gonna be excited for this fight. Yeah, so when Alycia Baumgardner is fighting, you know you're gonna see some explosive power. She's definitely a puncher. She's got a good jab. And she the thing about her that I think sets her apart is her fluidity. She has so much fluidity as a fighter, and she's got a good punching technique. Leading up in this fight, you heard Tony Harrison talk. He goes, yeah, when it comes to, when he's talking about the women on the card, he said, Alycia, I feel like her and also Amanda Serrano, who's on the card, I feel like they look a lot like us, talking about the men, when they punch. He goes, and that's kind of something that we've mentioned in a previous video about, how fluid and how much technique that she has. The right hand comes out, it looks good. And Alycia does a good job of mixing her punches up. A lot of times, some fighters, they just go, head hunting, but she actually does go to the body very well.
Yeah, man, and and she had a clean ass ring walk too.
Oh, she does do that.
But she definitely looked like she had power in her fight. And she did drop her opponent.
Yep.
And then we thought she might could stop her. But of course, Mekhaled, forgive me if I'm saying the name wrong. She weathered the storm and she got out of that round without being knocked out.
Yeah. And Mekhaled, she was definitely a tough fighter. Even though had got hurt multiple times, she was still coming forward and throwing punches. And also the other thing is in those rounds that Alycia Baumgardner did take off, she was landing some good shots. She landed some right hands and tested the chin of Alycia on a couple of those right hands.
And the only thing I would say, Alycia, she looked good. She has power. She got a good jab. She moves around the ring fluidly, like you said. But I feel like after that round where she knocked her opponent down, and once she got back up, she just tried to end her. Yeah. I think it took a lot out of her.
She threw everything at her.
Yeah, everything. And then that next round, she just pretty much took it off. And even like you had mentioned something about Tony Harrison, he was like, look, it's cool if you want to take the round out, but you got to keep jabbing, you got to keep moving, because you can clearly tell she was like tired.
And Tony was giving great advice. I think that he's a good coach for her for the simple things that you said. That was one time when he said in the corner, he was talking about, hey, like you said, to stay busy, but he also said, look, when you're just throwing one punch, I need more than one punch. Throw twos and threes. He's like, every time you're throwing two punches, you're hurting her in the wobbleder. And that was true. And then she came out and she started throwing the bombs and she hurt her.
I was like, I knew you were gonna go into that, because as soon as you heard Tony say that, she went back in there and he was like, oh, I love the way he coaches, because she came out and she was throwing the bombs on her. Yeah. AKA her last name.
And to kind of talk about, most people, a lot of people talk about that right hand, but she's got a nasty left hook. And she was throwing that left hook to the body, and especially at the end of the fight, the way she closed the fight, just walk her down and dig into the body. And like you said, she pretty much, I feel like, as a fighter, I feel like offensively, and I feel like I feel like she can pretty much do it all, but the thing for her is just her conditioning.
Yes.
But
But yeah, other than that, I feel like she did everything good. But it's just like you mentioned, that condition. She just said she was on her period, so we ladies know how that shit goes. She finished it off beautifully. She became undisputed. So shout out to her.
And also the other thing, there was also two knockdowns. I feel like one of the knockdowns because we saw her fly into the ropes, and the ref, the ropes definitely held her up. So. The power is real.
It's there. She's just got to work a little bit more stamina so she can keep the power through everything. She's gonna be dangerous as hell.
Yeah, and
she's already dangerous in the division.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Yeah, and it's kind of crazy to think because I feel like she's only gonna get better for that reason. Because if she is able to, because we've seen her fight in spurts, but if she's able to fight 12 hard, solid rounds with all her technique and her offensive skills, she's going to be tough to beat for anyone.
And I mean, they say the power either you got it or you don't. I don't know how right that is, but they do say the power, that's just something you come with. You can learn power. You can learn, stamina. You can learn all that.
Yeah.
But the power, it just comes naturally. She got that.
Yeah, so I expect her to just keep improving as a fighter.
Yeah. And I mean, what do you think is next? We saw Michaela on the stands blow her a little kiss.
Yeah, to talk about it yet. And Alycia Baumgardner, she can sell a fight. She can promote a fight. I will say that.
I heard Michaela had a very good build up to their fight.
Yeah, and I think everyone wants to see a rematch just because of the build up, like we talked about, the build up of that fight. And she made it very clear. She goes, "I will." What'd she say?
I know. I was trying to remember what she said.
She's like, "I will knock Michaela Mare out." Something like that.
She said next time around. That's what. But I forgot. She mentioned something when they told her like, "Who do you know?" Michaela's here. Da 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 da. And she said something. I forgot what she said, but pretty much saying that she wanted the fight.
Yeah. And I think that would be a big fight again. And it would be cool to see this one as a main event this time because last time it was a co-main event and everybody was saying, it's worthy of a main event. And so it would be cool to see that. Last time it was on Top Rank and this time I think she needs to go to Alycia Baumgardner. I wouldn't mind seeing a fight. I think she's earned a fight back home in Detroit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she is undisputed. So.
Yeah. And to kind of talk about, her road, Alycia Baumgardner she's really accomplished a lot in the last, year and a half. And, to step in there with the champion, Terry Harper, as an underdog, and to stop her, which was probably knockout of the year, where she just blanked her. And then to take the title, and then to go across the street on the other side of the street in Top Rank versus Top Rank and ESPN and beat their champion and take that title. It's an amazing journey that she's had so far, and that's also something that I like about women's boxing. There's not really too much politics in there because you see these women fighting on different platforms, different sides of the street. And they just get in there and banging. Man,
there's some warriors. Warriors that make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's what's up. Like I always said, shout out to all the ladies that get in there because it ain't easy. Yeah. Especially like she said, women go through different things than men do, and they still in there boxing, fighting. So great fights to watch.
Yeah. And also I want to talk about the other fighter that they were calling out also. She made it very clear that she would love a Katie Taylor fight. Now we already know that Katie Taylor is going to be fighting Amanda Serrano, and actually the fight that I would love to see is Alycia Baumgardner versus Amanda Serrano. But after the rematch between Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. But those are some of the fights that were kind of talked about. But yeah, that's all we got. Let us know below what you guys thought of the fight. That's all we got. So thanks for tuning in, y'all.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Or talk your shit.